Hey, everybody. We're going to start a few minutes early here so we can share mom and dad jokes with you. And then we'll get things kicked off at the top of the hour. Want to give everybody time. So if you do have any jokes, where is chat? Drop them in the chat and join us. And then we'll share the screen. Who wants to share a joke while I share the screen?
How do penguins fix broken dishes?
How do what?
How do penguins fix broken dishes? With igloo.
What's brown and rhymes with Snoop?
Oh no.
Loop.
Dr. Dre.
What do you call a rude cow?
I don't know.
Beef jerky.
What did the snowflake say to the road? Let's stick together.
Oh.
Oh,
What do you call a duck that likes the 4th of July? Come on. A firecracker.
Okay, we got one from Ryan. Ryan Whitehead, that is. What did the buffalo say to his kid when he dropped him off at school? At college? Bye, son.
oh, here we
The
go.
inventor of the dishwasher died and was buried today. They lowered him into the ground, and then his wife brought him back up and put him
Right
in the
away.
way.
Nice.
Yeah, I like it.
What do mother spiders complain about the most?
I give up.
How much time their kids spend on the web?
Ooh. Ah, that one's very relevant.
Why can't you trust stairs? Because they're always up to something.
Oh, this is a good one. How do you know when something is officially lost?
When you buy another one.
No, your mom can't find it.
All right. What did the left eye say to the right eye? Between you and me, something smells.
Oh no, I did not see that going that way. That's funny though.
Oh, that was quite a strong finish.
Pretty good.
What kind of shoes do bananas wear?
Peels.
Slippers. Slippers.
Oh.
I went to the credit to Josh. I went to the Words Zoo today. The only animal there was a dog. It was a Shih Tzu.
Say it again. Say it again, Dave. Do you know how to say it?
I went to the Words Zoo today. The only animal there was a dog. It was a Shih Tzu.
Sure, we have some computer ones. So why did the computer get glasses? It wanted to improve its website.
Oh.
Hey, Ryan, how do you get the drummer off your doorstep?
I have some guesses, but I'm not going to say them.
Yeah, you pay him for the pizza.
All right.
All right. With that, maybe we should get started.
Okay.
Darn.
All righty. Oh, wait. Josh is on a roll. Brian, you want to read that one? And I'll get the notes up and we can kick things off.
How many programmers does it take to change a light bulb? None. It's a hardware problem. I feel that.
Yeah, it worked for me. Okay, let's go ahead and kick things off. Okay, so for the housekeeping, and good evening, everybody. Just as a reminder, we are recording. We do save these so we can make them available for other people, because these jokes are too good to only use once, right? We do want these to be as open and collaborative as possible. There are no bad questions. If any questions you do have, comments or experience or thoughts that you want to share, please drop them in the chat. We'll be checking that regularly throughout this to help make it be as open and collaborative as we can. We're going to be answering questions online or in the conversation as much as possible. And I do have some upcoming events to share with everybody. Let me drop this link in for anybody. If you're in that, where did my chat go? Right here. Host, no, that would go to hosts and panelists. Hey, it took 5 episodes and I finally caught it.
I was gonna say,
yeah,
just share it with everybody this time.
yeah. It was a pattern twice on the 3rd and 4th. Okay, so the San Diego ISACA chapter meeting is going to be on June 20th. Anybody here is invited. If you're in San Diego and you want to come out, we'll give you lunch. It's also available online via Zoom, so you can check us out from anywhere. But if you do Zoom, we can't give you lunch. It's going to be a collaborative cybersecurity center of excellence in ISACA San Diego chapter panel discussion, looking at the cybersecurity workforce. We'll have the moderators, Brendan Daly, who's the CISO for the city of San Diego, and we'll have representatives from the San Diego Regional Economic Development Corporation, San Diego Workforce Partnership, and Indus Technology joining us on that. So if anybody would like to check it out, please come, enjoy us. We do want to give credit to all the partners that help make these possible, which is FRSecure, Security Studio, and the ISACA San Diego chapter. I'm going to drop some links in the chat, which are recordings of the previous 4 episodes, if anybody would like to check those out. Last thing is, if you've attended these before, here, let me drop these links in.
I thought that's what you were doing.
Yeah. Oh, look at the formatting on that. Boy, you can't take me anywhere. So the last thing is, we are playing Secret Word of the Day. If you joined us before, each one of us picked a secret word. And when somebody mentions it, we're going to all make noise like that, just as a big party. It's in tribute and fueled by the great mind of Pee Wee Herman. I'm going to drop a link if anybody's not familiar with it. That is a 60-second video from Pee Wee Herman explaining how it works. We're going to go ahead and jump in on this. Does any other co-host have something they would like to say before we dive in?
Do you want to do a last minute quick round table of who's here? Looks like there's a whole lot of Brian, not Brian, maybe
yeah, we
Brian.
got a John Brown too now. All right, okay, yeah, let's do that. That'll be good. I am going to, I'll pick you all in my little Hollywood Squares roundabout. Sporting an avatar, we have Victoria Fogarty.
Well, hello. Victoria Fogarty. I am a security vulnerability analyst, quite a mouthful. Here at FRSecure, been here about 5.5 years, and have really enjoyed being part of this, because again, it's fulfilling that statement that we have at FRSecure, right? Is trying to improve the industry, also just trying to help educate people in general, no matter what you are in your career. Everyone has the right to know security and keep their stuff safe. So.
Amen. Mr. Brett Hammond.
Hi, I'm Brett Hammond. I do all things internal security for FRSecure. I touch the administrative, technical, and physical controls and touch about, everything we do, a little IT, security, all the above.
Right on, man. And not Brian, the man Kelley.
Yes, also known as Ryan. So I've been at FRSecure for about 7 years. Just doing consulting work, acting as a VC, so sometimes I do assessments.
Coral.
Coral Morgan. Been with FRSecure for about 2.5 years. VCSO, risk assessments, VCSO clients, projects along the way, and work with a great bunch of people. I think we're all highly motivated to keep spreading knowledge and information as far as information security goes. We're all on a mission to fix a broken industry. So
Outstanding. Yeah. And Mr. John Brown. You're on mute, Mr. Brown. Did Mr. Brown go to the restroom?
maybe.
Am I off mute now?
You are off mute now. Yeah.
I feel like I was stuck back in 2020. I'm assuming you just want me to introduce myself. My name is John Brown. I'm the CIO and CISO for Service Tire Truck Center. Been with the company 13 years. Been doing this for 38 years. Multiple undergraduate degrees, graduate degrees, and certifications. And yet I will be the first to say I don't know everything about it. And that's why I like to participate in these type of, online sort of seminars to learn.
Awesome. And we're glad to have you here. We do try and encourage cameras be on if you're a game, but we'll be respectful either way. My name is, well, I'm going by Brian Kelley because Brian has been back to join us. But if you're law enforcement, my name is Dave Tuckman, and I'm an information security consultant at FRSecure as well. I've been here for 1.5 years. Not Brian, the man Kelley is my manager. And like everybody else was sharing, it's the mission, excuse me, of FRSecure to fix a broken industry. And we just all believe that whether you're in information security or not, you're impacted by cybersecurity. And we just want to help people have the best understanding so they can make the changes that they would, that they can protect themselves as best as possible. So over on the screen, we've been working through all of these through the previous episodes. We're going to dive in and start with physical security. And then we'll do breach and incident response to close things out. Let's go ahead. And for those of you here for the first time, we are using S2Me, which is this platform. I'll drop the link in the chat. This is something that is available to no cost to everybody here. You can go, you can register. It's just looking for an email address. You can make it up. You can use a Proton address, anything like that. But the whole idea behind this platform is that all of these sections we can walk through and do a self-assessment on our home network, understand what the risks are on the individual items, and we're going to talk about different things that you can do to help protect those. So we'll go into physical security. And Brett, would you like to kick us off?
Yes. Do you store sensitive information in your home or use a home office? I know I certainly do.
I don't know of anyone, excuse me, I don't know of anyone who doesn't have sensitive information in their home.
How could you not?
That's a great question.
Because I suppose if you didn't have a password, and you just logged in, that would make it. Because if
So
you're
what-
using that password on other stuff, that would be kind of sensitive information. John Brown, do you have sensitive information in your home or use on a home office?
To be honest, I've got to go one step further. I'm not trying to outdo anyone. I have sensitive information in a backpack that I carry with me, and the folks that I work with, the C-level and V-level folks I work with, they actually joke about it being similar to the football that the President of the United States carries, because I have certain information in there, not only on my laptop, but also paper, because I am 61 years old. So I'm a baby boomer. So yes, we still deal with paper. But I carry that backpack with me 7 days a week everywhere I go.
You know,
Sweet
depending
Lord, you're high maintenance.
depending on like the law or the regulation too, which you look at like CCPA, and a name and an address is considered potential sensitive information under there.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who would not have minimally that level.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we don't deal with California, because what's not fruits and nuts is flakes.
Yeah.
Continue. You can't be done describing California with just fruits, nuts, and flakes. There's got to be more adjectives you can throw in there.
I think he's only talking about Southern California, like around the San Diego area.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, actually, now that you mentioned San Diego, when I served in the Marine Corps, they told us they were Hollywood Marines.
Wow.
That's good.
Wow. Okay.
Dennis put in a list of stuff in there, right? Your license, your passport, checks, bank statements. That's people who still use paper, right? How many people still get statements to their home?
I got one on Saturday.
Did you? Did you pay it?
Oh, it was a statement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't a lien.
I still get bills mailed to me, believe it or not. Not
Mm.
everything is online yet, so.
I would almost go so far as that if anyone would put no on that 9.1, I'd have to call BS on that.
I agree.
Okay, well, we did say yes, and it opened up all these other potential risks. Wow. John, Mr. Brown, do you stay informed of the crime rate and activity in your area?
Yes. So unfortunately, it's one of those things that you have to watch these days, because, for example, you folks were talking about bank statements. Every once in a while, someone else's bank statement will be mailed to my home, not on purpose, but I think they just deliver it to the wrong address. I've had things from as far away as 2 other zip codes. Regarding studying the crime rates in the area, there's something called acid washing, which is people drive around and they steal checks, envelopes, etc., out of people's mailboxes. So you have to be careful what you mail, when you mail it, how you mail it, where you mail it, because thieves will actually steal those things and use it for identity theft, and then try to breach an organization, especially through financial avenues.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And that's something people are going to report, right? So it's going to be hopefully on social media, your city or county is going to be making it aware.
Yeah, and there's also like just even apps like nextdoor.com that don't necessarily get into statistics that way, but they can make you aware of what's happening in your neighborhood and stuff like that.
So what are some techniques that people use to keep up with the crime rate?
Social media is a good one. So for us, a lot of it is like Twitter and Facebook, specific Facebook groups. We have one just for our city. So I kid you not, if there's an accident or a siren that goes off, somebody's already posting on there going, what's going on? Who's it? Where's it at? Where are we going? Right. So before you know it, somebody's already posting about it. I think if you watch the news too much now, even if it's local news, I think they try to cover too much from like a US or potentially even global aspects. So you don't probably get the more local news information from even your local news.
Are those crime maps still pretty accurate? I know
I
they
was just
were a couple
wondering.
years ago, but usually those are free, right? Or you
Yeah.
can pay a subscription and
I
it'll
know,
tell
like
you about
that,
your
what was
area.
it? Neighborhood Scout. I think you
Mhm.
have to get certain information, you have to pay for it.
Okay.
But wasn't there? So I don't remember the name, but I know some people around my neighborhood have like an app that you can download. So you have to download it, put your zip code in and everything, and then anyone else who's joining can sit and put posts and stuff in there. Anyone using anything like that?
Yeah, I think that's the next door item that Dave was talking about. We have one here that's strictly
Yeah.
just for like our neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll put you. You'll put in your zip code and address, and then it'll know
Yeah.
who you are because privacy is not.
Somebody put in their ring and crimemapping.com. So
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so we're gonna say true to number 2. To number 9.2. Brian Kelley. Are your doors and windows always locked when you're not at home? Can't hear you.
Double mute.
Mr. Brown, does Brian Kelley always lock his windows and doors when he is not at home?
look at him.
Well, let's just say I haven't been able to get into his house when he's not home. So I'm going to assume that's a yes.
How many times have you tried?
So John Brown's not my real name. I'm actually part of that. What do they call that? That identity, hidden kind of thing, So I can't really divulge that information because I think his kids would be kind of worried right now.
Well, I think his kids are terrified at the moment, to be honest with you. But
well, and I'm not trying to be a sarcastic idiot. I'm really not. I don't know Mr. Kelley, and I hope his house is secure, like I secure mine. I always tell my kids when they leave because my kids are in a different generation, so they're much younger, and I don't want to call them children. They're young adults. They're 26 years old. My oldest is, but they're very trusting. I mean, for example, I listened to my oldest son share his password with his fiance, and I keep thinking, oh my God, don't you understand social engineering? And then I tell my wife when she leaves the house, lock the door. I don't just assume that no one's going to break into the house these days. So, anyone who's familiar with national news, local news, etc., people are squatting in homes these days. And I live in Pennsylvania. Squatters' rights are very strong. So you have to be careful. I mean, so from my standpoint, yes, I'm a baby boomer. We still believe in locking doors, windows, etc., when we need to.
So can you guys hear me now?
Yeah,
yes,
we
we
gotcha.
can.
Hey, there we go.
Welcome back.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Sorry about all the issues. So to answer the question, are doors and windows always locked? No. Doors are always locked. Windows are not. That's simply because I'm on the second story in an apartment. And if someone's going to try and get up into one of those windows, they're going to have to make a lot of racket with a ladder to get up there. So this is one of those things where I've looked at it, I've assessed the risk on it, and I'd rather have my the nice cool airflow coming through when I'm going to be gone for 15 minutes or 20 minutes going for a walk than having to close everything and reopen it again.
I will admit here. So I live in the city now. I didn't when I was growing up. So when I was growing up, I was living far suburbs of the city. And I will tell you, there's a lot more trusting folks in the suburbs, basically out in the sticks, like we used to call it, right? Because there isn't a whole lot that's going on out there. I think people are more aware of crimes happening when you live in the city, maybe not so much if you're living in the country.
Yep, I agree. To me, it plays into like overall risk management stuff. I live in a pretty small town right now, and I don't lock things on a regular basis. I mean, if I'm going to be gone for an extended period of time, yeah, everything is locked. But I also have a very large dog who has a very large bark, and just I dare someone to break into my house. I'll just I'll leave it at that.
You know, my wife has multiple times asked me if I grew up in a barn, and I didn't realize it was probably because of this. Because we never had horses that could get out, but she just wanted to know if I grew up in a barn. Okay, so, well, Mr. Brown, I see your note in there, and I just wanted to say I understand that Brian Kelley has identified it as an acceptable risk, and even though you were unsuccessful those other times with your breaking and entering, he just shared with you what that single point of access is.
So,
Yep.
and I will state, it's locked up. Like if I'm going to be gone longer than like say maybe 30 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Generally going for a walk is the only time.
Okay, and be quiet
Also-
with the ladder. Or
Yeah, so
yeah,
just
be
use
quiet with
a
that.
really big ladder and wrap towels around contact points.
Yep.
And
Also, Josh, or John, sorry, if you are looking for me on social media, good luck because there's 1,000 of us Brian Kellys out there. Can you guess which one is the real one?
Heck, there's two here right now. Okay, Victoria, you want to read 9.4 for us, please?
Sure. I do not announce vacations or other instances when I won't be home online. Email, OOTO, replies, social media, etc. I definitely don't do this. Like, I mean, I do not announce it at all. First of all, I took myself off most social media except for LinkedIn. And even that I don't really interact with. And then in my out of office, you're just going to get a basic one like, hey, I'm not in the office, contact your next possible person. And that's it. Because I just, going being in the industry, knowing what that can help somebody understand how long you're going to be gone, where are you at, things like that, the recon that they can do. It just, no, I don't want them to know. So,
Yeah.
plus,
I'll be
too much Dateline, Lifetime movies.
in Dateline.
I don't want to become that person.
So,
So,
an interesting piece on this, granted it's not vacations, but there's a social engineer that I saw speaking, and they're basically saying around the time that school is starting. And
It's hard to hear you, man.
Yeah, my sound is not good. I apologize. But so around the start of the school year for kids, people posting pictures on social media of their kids standing out in front of their house for the first day of school. And that's like the social engineer was like, this is a gold mine for us because we just go back and we look and it's got their, generally it's a picture of their house. It's a lot of times has the number on it, somewhere. And they've got pictures of the person's kids and what they look like for doing that recon that they're looking for what they do.
well,
It's
they
just kinda-
they go a step further, right? Because they have that little board that tells, this is my name, this is my teacher,
This is my teacher. This is my
this is
school.
my favorite
Yeah.
things. And then I take it a step further and I'm like, okay, maybe they're not trying to pinpoint you. What if they're trying to get your kid? Now they know their favorite stuff. Now they know
Right.
details. So the kid's going to think they know who they are. I don't know. Yeah, it just goes down a different rabbit hole too. Oh, it's a good point though.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you share those because even when I was reading it, the first thought I had was not so much like an out of office message, but those people of, hey, look, here's pictures of me eating in Hawaii,
Yeah.
and I'm going to go surfing tomorrow, kind of a thing.
Perfect. I'm gonna look up where you live
Yeah.
because you won't be there.
Yeah, I know where you're not.
They got 2 weeks to do all what they want to do.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Mr. Brown shared that GPS coordinates are embedded into many JPEG pics.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
and disable that one first.
Okay, so I'm gonna say, so are we saying true or false to 9.4?
Well, it's true for me, but let's do false and see if, you don't have to say that you do it, but let's just find out if you do.
What's our risk?
It's announcing your vacation online and making it known that you are not going to be home will increase the risk that your home will be targeted, as Brian definitely made true, resulting in loss of privacy, stolen valuables, and compromised information.
Wow, you know, and I said what I said without even reading 9.5.
Oh yeah, with the GPS coordinates and posting
Hmm.
what you're
Or
doing.
just,
Oh,
yeah,
posting while
posting
on
pictures,
vacation.
you know.
Yeah.
Coral, do you post pictures to social media when you're on vacation?
I have 4 kids. I don't go on vacation, dude.
Do your kids post pictures on
Water
social
parks,
media
though,
when
and
they go on
skate.
vacation and leave you behind?
Yeah, probably in 20 years they will. My kids don't have access to social media, so I have them pretty well locked down. But I do know a lot of people that do this, and they're doing exactly what we just talked about. They're out of the country and posting pictures live and in real time of what they're doing, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It happens all the time, unfortunately.
Wait until you get home.
It's just not, yeah, it's just not one of those risks I'm willing to take, though.
So I should say true.
True. I am not posting while I'm on vacation.
Well, you're not posting on the vacation you're not having.
Exactly.
You want to read us the risk?
It's exactly that, right? It increases the risk of your home being attacked by or targeted by an attacker, right? If you're going to post something, best practice, right? Just wait until after you get back home.
Yeah. Who would like to read 9.6?
I'll read it.
Okay.
All right. I have a home security alarm system that is armed when I'm not home.
Brett?
Yeah.
I can say true to that one, and I will double down and say that it's more important for it to be armed when I am home.
And why do
I
you
don't,
say that?
because I don't want anybody coming into my house without me knowing. That's when the kids are active. I would rather have somebody break in when I'm not there and steal all my stuff than have somebody break in while I'm there with my family.
Yeah.
So we have a firm rule of unless the back door is open, and ours will work, we can arm it with a door open and it just won't trigger that. But our alarm system is turned on almost always.
We'd like to hear from the man.
I do not have an alarm system.
I do not. I do not have an alarm. I have a Ring. That's about as close as I can get at this point.
Yeah,
but again, we're almost always home. Like if we're leaving somewhere, we may be gone for a couple hours, but we're back pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Not that something can't happen in that amount of time, but I got good neighbors too, so they know how to get a hold of me. So if they're watching out for me as well. And I don't know if you can say that with everybody. I don't know if everybody knows their neighbors well enough to say, hey, if something looks fishy, can you just give me a ring?
I think that's an important thing there too, is make that connection or that develop that relationship with your neighbors too, because it's like a web. You end up being able to look out for each other. You help them, they help you, and if you have 8 people around your close little vicinity or 8 families around there, chance of all of you being gone at the same time is pretty slim.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is I've always been that way where we're real close with the neighbors and everything. And it used to be where you could identify if it wasn't a familiar car. And then Lyft and Uber came.
Oh,
and it kind of changed,
that was the end of that.
yeah, that kind of unique differentiator, Mr. Brown, does Brian Kelley have a home security alarm system?
I believe he already told us he has a dog.
Oh, that was another co-host.
I have a dog. I got a big
dog. Brian has bunnies and they don't bark.
Probably don't fight either, at least hard.
Yeah.
Have you seen Monty Python? Just saying.
I was just thinking of Monty Python myself.
Yeah. But that one did, but I don't think the one on Monty Python barked.
No, it just killed.
Yeah.
Maimed.
And very sharp teeth.
Yeah, what was it? The
I forget
the Holy Rabbit of Antioch or something?
No, that was the grenade that they used to get rid of the rabbit.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Kelley, you want to read? We're going to change that to true. because that'll make us feel better. Mr.
9.7?
Kelley, yeah, talk to us about 9.7.
Storing sensitive paper records in a locked cabinets. So what I do is I digitize my documents and then I shred them personally. So that way I've got them somewhere safe. But I do know others that do. They'll have, like, say, some sort of something tucked away where they really need to keep the important ones. Say, for instance, like maybe let's go a little bit deeper and say passports, for instance, are paper records. Those are kept in a secured lock spot somewhere where I live, and they definitely are. So things like that are taken into account, that those are going to be safe. Also, there's other certain documents that you need to keep around and they're, maybe not digitized. So yeah, so definitely this is something that my wife and I do, and we make sure that if we do have something that comes in, it's like, hey, we need to keep this around for whatever reason, we do stick it in that place as well.
Right on. Mr. Brown, you sound like you have a storied history for whichever identity you were under at that time. Did you store sensitive paper records in a lock cabinet?
I do have a fireproof safe in my home. And the other gentleman did mention vital records, things like passports, expired driver's licenses that someone might want to keep for nostalgia. There's another thing that I recently went through, and at the age of 60 last year, I had to settle my mother's estate, and I was amazed at the amount of paperwork that's required by the revenue department for you to settle someone's estate, and they deal a lot in paper. So, the local tax office, the county office, the state, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, they deal a lot with paper documents. So I have a fireproof safe downstairs in my home office filled with paperwork from settling my mother's estate, as well as, passports for my children, myself, my wife.
How do you know it's fireproof?
I'm sorry, you asked how do I know it's fireproof?
Yeah.
So basically I was trusting, and I know there's a limit to the amount of trust you can give, but I bought a very reputable brand. It's rated at 1700 degrees for 35 minutes. The local fire department's like 2 blocks from my house, so they respond rather quickly. But to be honest with you, the only way I could really test it is to actually set a building on fire, put that fireproof safe in there with, paper inside, and just actually, after it's over, test it. It's the same concept as how do you know your backups are good until you actually do a restore. So.
Yeah. And I'll add to this that not everybody has a fully staffed fire department, right? So some people, they are on call. Granted, they have to live within a certain parameter to get to the fire station, but that can always add time. So I'm not very far from my local fire department, maybe 2 miles tops, and it still takes them like 20 minutes to get to a fire. So because they gotta buzz everybody in, they gotta get their gear, they gotta get the truck, and then they gotta get to the fire, right? So a lot can happen in that 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It also depends if you have. It sounds like you have a volunteer fire department, in which that does hold true. Whereas I have a city fire department where the firemen actually sleep there overnight, so they're there 24/7.
Yeah.
That sounds fancy.
That sounds fancy compared to what we have.
Yeah, a lot fancier.
I don't know. It might depend on how close you are to that fire station and how often they have to roll out of there with the sirens going. Just saying.
Right.
Yeah.
I get that 2 or 3 times a day where I live. It's not fun.
So storing sensitive paper records out in the open or in an insecure manner will increase the likelihood of lost or stolen records and unauthorized disclosure of your sensitive and/or private data.
I think best practice here is to just keep the amount of sensitive paper records that you have to a minimum, right? Just have the bare necessities that you need to have on hand. You don't need to keep your bank statements from 10 years ago. Nobody cares, right? If you're going to go ahead and get rid of those items, do a secure shred event.
Yep.
Very good point. Very good point.
And
Okay.
I
Go
would
ahead.
add on that too, if you can't, you can like Lowe's or Home Depot and play something and get those air quotes fireproof or fire preventative safes, things, small little lock boxes, things like that for pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Who would like to read 9.8?
I got it. Camera surveillance is used in and around my home and or home office. So I do use a Ring, so I do have some visibility. But I will say, my neighbor last year had a issue with their backyard pool, and somebody went around the house and around the fence, and it was out of the line shot of the camera that he had up. So they had some destruction happen and didn't have any visibility to it. So he quickly adjusted that and put a camera in the back too now.
I see a lot of that too, where it's reactive. You know, they wait till something happens and then you put a camera up, and that could be hopefully they're not burning your house down and then you react to that. You know, if it's a little bit of vandalism, put it up.
Yeah.
I do not have cameras in or around my home or home office.
I don't know how I feel about the home office, just because for a while there you're hearing reports if it's not set up correctly, right? If you just plug and play and you don't think about the security of how you're setting it up, which we've talked about in past webinars, people can tune into those and can zoom in on your sensitive data, like in your office, right? The paperwork, your computer, they can monitor you. Are you there? Are you not there? I don't know. I don't know if I like the home office suggestion. But that's
I would
just
say,
me.
you know, to support that too, I've done a lot of assessments where we do external scanning and even internal too, but so both vulnerability scanning, and you should see the amount of cameras that show up on there.
Yeah.
People usually overlook those. They're like an infrastructure type thing, and they're not updating them. They're super vulnerable.
Yeah, I'm actually going to drop a link in the chat to a website called Shodan, SHODAN.com. If anybody wants to check it out, it's kind of a repository of known internet IoT devices that have vulnerabilities. I remember going in here and looking up other people's cameras that were compromised or not properly secured, and you could just watch what was going on from there, which was always kind of interesting. But Victoria, I think you got an excellent point where none of this stuff is binary, that it's good or not good. It's really a matter of what you decide to do, understanding the risks that are involved with it, and working to mitigate those to a level where you're comfortable. So Mr. Brown, would you like to read 9.9?
Let me see here. 9.9. I have working smoke detectors and test them annually, which actually, if you read the KITA website, they recommend you do it every 6 months. And they try to use the changing of the clocks, you know, as to when you should test your smoke alarms. And the answer for me is true.
Mr. Kelley?
True.
Mr. Hammond?
This is true for me too.
Mrs. Morgan?
It is true, and I do the same thing. I test them biannually. So changing of the clocks, I change the batteries and test them.
Josh Winter says he tests his smoke detector with his cooking.
I think he's offering to cook us dinner sometime, right?
Yeah. Mr. Abraham.
Yes. In fact, mine are also hardwired through the electrical line, so that even if the batteries are then just backups, and if the electrical goes out, it has to completely get disconnected, and you should hear them little suckers wail. Like even if we have a storm and the power just flickers for like well, maybe not flicker, but goes out for a minute, the entire smoke detector thing just lights up.
Wow.
That's gotta be kind of annoying, huh?
It is. And
I was gonna say
it just hits it once, and then the battery's gone. So it's like a notification, but goes
oh,
all the way
gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought it was a continual. I was like, man, that would suck.
I would rip them out. Yeah, I agree with Josh. I think they're probably hardwired in where I live, and they're required.
Yeah.
I had one added to our main floor within the last like 2 years, just because the cooking was causing too much smoke, and we got the hardwired one, but it also is kind of like an infrared, so it detects fire smoke differently than cooking smoke, so it takes a little bit more to set it off. Kind of cool.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's pretty fancy.
You were doing the cooking on that one?
Listen.
That's why you're setting them off.
We don't have a fan that takes the smoke.
Yeah, well, I think, Brian, I think we have to have them out in California. I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You have to have them, and then also, as John pointed out, CO2 detectors or carbon monoxide detectors as well are required in California to have. And in my case, it's a homeowner's thing. They force you to test them.
Do you have to have one on each floor out there?
I can't say for that one because I don't have multiple floors.
Sure.
But I don't
know if we have to, but we're on a split level here. And when we moved in, they were on the different floors.
Yeah, I want to say that when I did have 2 floors, it was one on each floor, but I don't know if that was required or if that was just the way it was built. I know the CO2 detectors did not have to be, or the CO detectors did not have to be.
Gotcha. Who would like to read 9.10?
I gotcha. Everyone in my household knows and understands what to do in an emergency situation. So fire, home invasion, etc. In my case, yes, it's pretty easy with the wife and I of just, if something's going on, grab the bunnies and get out in terms of if it's a fire or something like that. Home invasion is what's the biggest, heaviest thing we can use to hit somebody with. So that's the way we go.
That's how you roll?
That's how we roll. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife said that she didn't have to be the fastest one to get it. She just needed to be faster than me.
She's a smart woman.
Yeah.
That means
then why is she still here? Huh?
Like, will she push you down and trip you? Step over you to get out?
Yeah. Take a shot at the ankle. You know. Because all you got to do is wing them. You don't got to take them down. It's,
John brings up a great point. Make sure you have an escape plan, reassembly point outside the home. My kids know this, right? If we're not home and something happens, they know just to get out of the house, go to the neighbors. If we are all at home, they know we have a meeting point outside the house that's far enough away from the house if there's a fire, right? So.
Can I sidetrack with a funny, at least to me, it's a funny story that's related to this?
Shoot.
Absolutely.
Growing up in California, it was always earthquakes for us. And
exactly.
My parents, we had this big, huge wooden table in the dining room that we were trained as children, you go under the table if there's ever a big earthquake. Well, Northridge happened, and I don't know, it's 8, maybe 10 or so. And it was a massive earthquake. In the LA area, and my sister and I were under the table. Like we were there. My parents were freaking out because they couldn't find us in our rooms. Because like, where'd the kids go? And we're like, we're under the table. Like he told us to go to under the table. So yeah, so it's just kind of.
You told us the plan. We were following it.
Exactly.
But yeah, Brian, that's exactly what I was thinking. I learned that, over earthquake awareness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brian, do you remember that earthquake that happened on an Easter day, probably about
Easter
6 or 7 years ago.
Probably. I think so.
Yeah, it was actually at a friend's, and we just all hightailed it out of that place.
Oh, we just had one 2-3 weeks ago that was epicentered like 2 miles from where I live, and I felt that one really well.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, it was a 3-something, and it was like it shook for a second and then stopped, and I was just waiting for it to go. Because if it had kept going, I would have gotten out. But I mean, being in California, it's like, it's just an earthquake. Just
roll back over.
Yeah, just keep going, keep working.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys, as someone who's never been through an earthquake, how do you fight the urge not to just get out of the building and run?
I have friends that did that, that weren't from Southern California when there was an earthquake and during work one time. They felt it and they just ran. Like those of us who grew up in Southern California, we just kind of sat there and it was over in a couple seconds, and we're just like, all right, and we just started working again. I think it just kind of depends when I hate to say it's normal because it's not, but you've just kind of been through enough of them. For me, it's not till stuff like really starts moving around and falling, then that's like, oh shoot, I need to go now. But I don't know I don't know if Dave, if you're kind of in the same sort of mindset.
I've always kind of adhered to like the 6-7 second rule. So when it starts and it's like a couple of seconds, you go, oh, okay. And just, the optimist goes, it's going to go away. But then when it hits like second 6 or 7, go to the door, get out.
Victoria's got a good point. It's kind of like, it's probably along the same lines as our monthly tornado siren tests, right? We have those, and if anybody is here that doesn't normally have those, then yeah, they're like, what's going on? What's going on? It's bright and beautiful and sunny outside, and you're like, oh, they're just testing the sirens. It's all fine.
Right. Yeah, same sort of thing. And it's just, and it's interesting because we're here kind of talking about cybersecurity, but it touches into any kind of risk like this.
Physical is actually part of that, right? So
yeah, Josh had a good point in the chat as well. To your point, Ryan, I remember my first earthquake when I lived in San Diego. I had no idea what happened. I thought someone had crashed a car into our condo until I saw on the news later that there was an earthquake. That pretty much sums it up, doesn't it?
Didn't even know.
It does.
That's really accurate. Yeah.
Unless you're looking at like a Northridge type thing, where it goes for seemingly like, I don't know how long.
That one was different. Yeah.
That one was different.
That was a boy quake.
Yeah, I've been through many that were very close, and just like, we're, because a lot of the smaller ones, I don't think it really gets bad up until you get into like the 4s or 5s at this point, at least, depending on how far away you are. So you just kind of see what happens.
Yeah, that's actually another good point, Ryan, is you learn to detect how much the floor is moving underneath you. The crowd wants to dance this time. This is different.
Yeah, I can relate to that though. It's like us in tornadoes. It's like
exactly.
If the fans go off, I usually go outside, and if it's a big one, I'm watching the news, then I might go in the basement. If not, if it's a little one, I kind of want to see it.
I kind of want to see it.
Have you ever been in a building that was built on rollers? Now, I don't know if they have them here in like, say, Minnesota.
I've seen videos of them in Japan.
Yeah, like say there's a mall that I used to go to when I was growing up that was on rollers, and there'd be times where you're standing in the mall, like if you're waiting for someone outside of the store, and it feels like a small earthquake, but then you just realize that's the mall literally moving because it's on those rollers, but just from the vibration of people walking around, it's a very odd feeling.
I haven't been through that. Yeah. Okay, so who wants to read what the risk of 910 was, even though we've covered it to some degree?
I got you. The lack of an emergency response plan that has been communicated to all occupants will significantly increase safety risks.
Yeah.
So people need to know.
have a plan. Don't just have a plan. Make sure you communicate the plan to everybody in the house, right?
Yep. Like we'll say in work, plan the work, work the plan.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna switch on over to breach and incident response. Ryan, you want to kick us off?
Yes, I read cybersecurity news stories. I do. That is an affirmative. To be honest with you, it's part of my job, and I'd have to say if I didn't have this job, I don't know if I would do that. But I can 100% say in the affirmative, I do read cybersecurity news stories.
Mr.
Yeah.
Brown?
First thing I do in the morning, I know it's going to sound odd. I wake up, I grab my work phone, I look at the cybersecurity hub, and then I look at the CISA website to find out what am I doing battle with this morning. So as a CISO, that's standard operating procedure right there.
How many phones do you have?
2, one personal and one professional.
Got it.
Yeah, I'd be concerned if those of us here on the panel aren't doing this one. However, if we weren't in our positions, I'm with Ryan. I don't know if I would be into hearing about all the ransomware issues and all of that stuff.
You wouldn't enjoy just hearing the hard times others are going through?
Maybe not.
I
Maybe
can
not.
see it, like if you're not in this profession and you go to like Bleeping Computer, you go to get our emails and stuff like that, it just becomes overwhelming because it's constantly over and over and over again. Every day there's something new.
Yeah.
Every week there's something new. I think even we suffer from some type of like desensitization of it. It's like, oh, it's
Yes.
Tuesday. We lost another billion records. Oh shoot. Let's get on to Wednesday. You know,
Yeah.
and I just don't know if we weren't in this field, or people who aren't completely in this field are required to do this, have the same feelings.
I agree with both of you. If it wasn't part of my career, I wouldn't really bother with it.
Yeah. Yeah, my husband does not do anything in cybersecurity, and I'll give him tidbits of what's going on just because it might relate to his job, but he's oblivious. He's like, nope, I don't want to know. He's like, I don't want to know who's got my records now.
And actually, to that point, I mean, we don't, well, maybe some of you do, but I don't study, like, go to health websites to hear how many people got cancer that day, or, you know, or things like just other risks that, or, hey, let's go see how many car accidents happened in San Diego today.
Growing off my foot. Yeah.
What's that?
What is this thing growing off my foot? I don't go to health sites for that. That's why I have doctors.
Oh, I'd love to see the search results on that one.
And for those of us who don't like to read, I do. They have awesome podcasts out there that are doing daily updates, weekly updates, a little more entertainment wise than reading a boring old article.
Kind of like a too long didn't read, right? Just give me the cliff notes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like while you're driving and stuff.
It's a good point.
And Brett, what's the risk if you don't?
Well, you are more at risk for cyber attacks and scams. That's the thing. Scams are changing all the time. We had the Ticketmaster breach, right? Anybody who's a Ticketmaster subscriber or has an account, like now a good point I heard brought up is you're now a target for phishing attacks. They might not have your credit card information. They might have gotten a random unique password, but now they know you're a user and they can target you for things that you've spent on in the past, and you just never know what's next.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, I'm seeing your note. That daily email, do you have any recommendations for people that they could follow as well? If you do, if you'd be willing to drop that in the chat, might be helpful. Yeah. That'd be cool.
I would say too, a tip for other people who are on this call who maybe can't get into security stuff like we do. Before, when I would read something, more like when I was at the hospital, I kind of had to. I always try to read the article. I think we really do a really bad job of this in information security, but relate what is going on in the article to what's happening in the real world or affecting you directly. You know, you can hear, oh, this one, here's a breach on AWS, and we had this, and 1 billion records were breached. If I'm a standard person, great. What does that mean to me? You know, there should, I think in every article there should be like a little section at the bottom that says, this is how that's going to affect you. Watch for more phishing emails, or you should go to your credit reporting, or you should go to your bank and watch this, or if you went to these websites, watch out for this specifically. Actually, like real actionable things instead of just fear mongering, basically.
Yeah, that's a good point. Who wants to read 10.2? Victoria, thank you. Go for it.
No worries. I keep a list or an inventory of my online accounts and what they are for. This is actually true if we consider a password vault as an inventory list, like, yeah. But if we don't, then no.
That was my thoughts on that one too.
I count it.
Yeah.
If you were doing an assessment of somebody and you asked them that question and they said, well, we have them in a password manager, would you give them credit?
If they audit it on a regular basis.
Bingo. See, okay,
So-
but this
Ding, ding.
that's tricky. You know it's tricky because it's different when you are personal inventory versus an organization inventory.
Right.
So much more comes, and you know that was a setup.
Aw.
Listen to her
Brian.
call you out.
I
Not
just-
Brian Kelley.
Yeah. I just
So-
wanted to engage your avatar. So.
Thank you.
But Victoria, do you audit those? Like in your password vault, do you go through your password vault every so often? Like once a year maybe, or once every 2 years, and look at, oh, I still have this account and it's active, I better go close it.
I
Nope.
don't usually have like the close thing in mind, but yeah, I do look through because I'm like, what haven't I logged yet? Right. And if I've come across it, I'm like, oh yeah, I have that account. And then I assess, do I need it any longer? So 50-50.
That's fair.
I love your avatar. And you're like,
Yeah.
eh.
Ryan, you had me all the way up until close it out.
Yeah.
So I won't lie. If I was doing an assessment, I would be looking for something outside of a password manager. And
For a
so I
business,
think,
right?
well, I don't know, because like I think of that for myself. It's like, well, if I document this information somewhere, does that then that gives you some other sensitive piece of information that might be picked up, right?
Mhm.
So I could kind of go back and forth, like, and I can go through that. It's funny because I was actually doing this yesterday because I was preparing to travel, and I was looking for I wanted to get an app on my phone that I'm going to use that I usually do on my computer, and I need to look up the account information because I didn't know what it was, because it's been logged into my computer for so long that it's just I never think of it. And yes, it is safe there. It's not an account with any sort of sensitive information other than someone could go pretend that they're me and make some comments in not even a forum but a website. But it's just like at the same time, it's like I was thinking about it. It's like, what other accounts do I have in here that I haven't touched in a long time? Kind of going back to what you were saying, Ryan, it's like I don't know, because I've not gone through and looked at it for I don't know how long.
Mhm.
So I'll speak to this in regards to my aging parents. They do not use a password vault, and they have an actual list because they're actually thinking about that end of life thing and having a list for us kids to go ahead and be able to connect all the dots when they're not here, right? So from that aspect, I can see the aging population doing it this way, just because they're probably not as computer inclined, right?
Sure.
I have a very similar situation to you, Cole, where my dad has told me, he's like, this is where to find this information. He's like, in fact,
Yep.
I'm going to give you this information so you have access to this before anything happens to me.
Yep.
So that way there's no question about it. You know, you have access to it. And if, you know, so you don't have to go through the same sort of stuff that he at one point had to.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to add to that, and I know what you're saying, Victoria, where it's different if it's a business or we're talking about at a home or a family. Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but either way, there's still risk. And the risk that you possess as that person in the home could be potentially even more devastating, you know, than what might happen at your job, just depending on what it is. So it really wasn't intended to be a setup.
Okay, I forgive you.
Thank you. I'm gonna that's good enough for me to want to move on.
Yeah.
Brett, you want to read? Why don't you read the risk to 10.2 and then fearlessly take us into 10.
Keep it going. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So forgotten accounts can be taken over by criminals and used to harm you or others. And I'd also want to note that the password manager tracks those passwords, right? So if you're reusing passwords or if they've been found in a breach, that's another plus on the side of password managers. 10.3, I keep a list or inventory of my technology. My list includes manufacturer, model number, serial number, support information, and logins. I know that one is false for me.
Yeah, that's big. No way for me.
Nope.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I know like the manufacturer of everything I have, all 4 devices. But there's no serial numbers. And then really, I mean, support information. Who does anyone keep that information?
Google.
Is that like on the
Exactly.
manuals? I don't know anymore.
Yeah. If you have an HP, you Google HP support and the number's there.
So this is going to be similar to kind of what we talked about with the passwords in terms of, say, like the support information or this information. And I know, for instance, we talked about this on assessments, but this is a little bit different when you've got your personal type of stuff, which I'm with you, Ryan, where like I've got like 4, maybe 5 devices and I know what they are. I know where they are. I don't know the specific model numbers and serial numbers on them. I don't have any support information on it. The logins are in a password vault, but yeah, I don't keep this information.
So, I'm thinking back, like when I used to purchase things at like Best Buy, or if you purchase it directly from the manufacturer, like directly from Apple, do they still keep that stuff? Or do you have to like register it with them and then they keep that stuff for
Depends.
you?
I think some you may have to register if you would buy like a third-party warranty or something with it.
Yeah.
I think Apple keeps their everything.
Plus more.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
You know, even a bigger thing. There's like it can play into like risk management stuff. You know, there's a reason I buy Dell's or HP, some national brand, because I can find that information readily. It's easy. I can Google it. I'm not buying a white box computer from Joe's computer shop down the road that I have no idea how to fix it or what the warranty is. Whereas if I did buy that computer from Joe's computer shop down the road, I would keep that information.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be Joe's computer shop.
It's okay if it's
Yeah, that
false.
was kind of harsh on Joe.
I know, but I'm saying, but no, it's like risk management. So there's a reason I'm transferring the risk to a large organization.
Sure.
I want that.
Sure. Because now people are just going to run out and Bob's going to take a hit on his business and Bob's computers is just going to go through the roof. But I digress, right? Yeah. And actually to share with everybody, I literally just finished up a 2-month project going through the house, inventorying what we have. And it was anything that we felt had a value of $250 or more. And it really was in support of knowing what we have for insurance purposes. So, and in that, so like I'm reading this and I'm like, yeah, I got an inventory. It lists the technology. I got the manufacturer, model number, serial number, and then it just fell off the cliff with support information and logins, because I didn't want to put that on it. I just want to be able to show somebody what we've got in case there is a fire and I don't have it in Mr. Brown's safe, so it's all gone, you know.
So-
And so the logins are in the password manager.
Does an inventory of all my Lego sets count?
Absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Because
I would say, are you Lego sets an investment or a toy?
Yes.
both.
Fair.
Those
long as
things
it
get
checks the
expensive.
Yeah, as long as it checks the investment box, yeah, I'd keep track of those suckers.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, did you see those news articles where people are stealing Legos?
Dude, yes, and it's funny enough, I just got one of the ones that was stolen that was in the big picture. It was released last Saturday, so a little over a week ago, and they already had it, which I thought was pretty cool. Not cool, but pretty amazing that they were getting that stuff that fast. Because quite literally, I got the set that I had ordered from Lego. I got it the day I saw that article.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's insane to me.
Brian, would you inventory the Lego sets down to the piece?
No.
So would a Lego set be less valuable if it was losing 2 or 3 or lost 2 or 3 pieces?
Probably depreciation.
Yeah, it depends on who like when you're selling them, like a whole nother topic. We can diverge from here.
Hey,
a
real
little
quick though,
bit.
have you ever laid out your Lego pieces as a security setup, leaving your windows unlocked? Because if
Yeah.
anyone stepped on a Lego, man, that's enough. That's like getting shot in the foot.
Yeah, this is true. I've not done that,
Okay.
but that's mostly in preservation
try
of
it.
myself and my wife, so that we don't step on them.
There you go.
This is just turning into a whole little Home Alone tribute.
I'm sorry,
I
because
never thought of that, but
I'm
yeah.
the agent of chaos when it comes to off-topicness, so I
Yeah.
apologize.
Okay, so who would Mr. Brown, would you like to read 10.4? We haven't heard your wisdom in a bit.
I review my credit card, bank, and or financial accounts for unusual or unexpected. You have transitions. I'm assuming you mean transactions.
I think that's a good
safe
assumption. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, for the sake of continuing this, absolutely. Yeah.
My answer would be yes. So I review I review it online. I just use my iPhone and just look at my online banking almost every day.
Anybody else? Who here balances it daily?
I do.
I don't balance. I do check the accounts though and look over the transactions.
Yeah.
So it's weird because sorry, Agent Chaos again. I was actually having a conversation with my parents about balancing checkbooks and how they had taught me to do it and made me do it when I was younger so that I could, go through and make sure I knew what I had. But today's day and age, I don't know that it's truly necessary anymore because of how quickly you can get access to that information.
Yeah, and Josh had a point to that where I can't tell you I balance them, but I've got it set up to get alerts, both
Yeah.
good and bad alerts.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's the trick, right? You also have to make sure that you're setting up those alerts to come to you in real time versus you checking the app every so often. Because obviously you're going to forget sometimes and maybe miss something. This actually happened to my family where I have alert anything over 1 penny. I want to know about it. Anything going in and out of my bank account, my credit card, anything. My mom, not so much. But that alerted me to a fraudulent wire transfer that someone tried to do. And I was able to catch it in time, alert the bank. And because of that, we ended up being able to get our money returned. So.
Yeah,
And
that's
I'm not
impressive.
laughing at your story. I'm laughing at the man's head twitching. Avatar twitching.
I'm with Brian. I mean, the parents taught us how to balance a checkbook, but it's not the same as it was before. I take a look at everything that happens within my financial accounts, but I don't balance them. I do look for something that looks weird because every once in a while you'll get a transaction that comes across as, some gibberish, something or other, and you're like, what the heck did I spend money on? Oh yeah, I remember now.
Yeah.
Late night Amazon purchases.
Yeah, you got it.
Does anyone know if they're still teaching kids in high school how to balance checkbooks?
I was never taught that in school.
Oh, actually, one of our coworkers just started, and she didn't even she hadn't written a check before until this year. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's funny. I still carry around a blank check with me in my wallet in case I ever
I
need
do
it.
too.
Like,
Well,
Yep.
not a blank check, but yeah, checkbook.
thing.
I still have a checkbook. Yep.
It's a good thing we're not old.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Wow. That would took me back.
Thanks for that reminder, Dave.
I just got new floors and blinds, and both companies accepted Venmo.
really?
Oh,
How cool is that?
oh, I don't know. I don't like it.
I like it.
I don't like it.
Hey, and just in the chat, we scrolled past it, or I did, but up a little bit, Josh did share the link that anybody can use if you want to kind of get a summary of tech news,
Yep.
which looks like a great resource. So thank you, Josh, there. Okay, so, well, what is the risk if we don't check it? Not reviewing your financial statement on a regular basis can allow fraud to go undetected, costing you lots of money over time. The common scam is to charge $1 each month, and if you don't notice the transaction, it can add up to a lot over time. Isn't that the plot from Office Space?
Yeah. But I want to say it's like
A penny.
fractions of a penny.
Yeah, fractions of a penny.
Right. But same model, nobody knows. Kind of. Anyway, 10.5. Go for it, Ryan. Please.
I regularly check my credit report for any unusual activity. I don't. I do have a credit card that will tell me what the score is when I log into it. I should probably check it, but I don't know if it's true anymore. It's been so long. This could maybe age me. But if you check it too often, doesn't it hurt your credit score?
It
Depends
does, but
on
you do get, yeah, I was gonna say it does, but you can get a free report every year from each one of the credit bureaus.
I'm
But like my
saying that-
credit card actually checks it for me, right?
Yeah, my credit
Allegedly.
card gives me free. I get
Yeah.
updates or alerts for any type of usage.
Do you trust that? Because that's what I do. Brett.
I do.
Okay.
you can sign up directly with the credit agencies and do monitoring with them
Yep.
as well.
Yep.
Which I get email alerts. I could log into the credit agencies and they'll be like, this has changed because of this, or you've added points to your credit score. Actually, I bought a new computer and I got it was crazy that the credit hit that I got from it because I used a credit card for it. And then I paid it off, when the next credit card bill came in, but it's just like, oh shoot, that's crazy that my credit score went down that much just for using a credit card to buy a computer. So it's kind of interesting to see that, but yeah, you can see that now. They can, if you sign up with them.
Interesting.
People can also be aware, since fraud is big, right? Scams are big. You can actually freeze your credit. You can go to all three bureaus and actually freeze your credit and then unfreeze it when you need to use it. If you need to go get a loan for a car or what have you. I have all mine frozen and I have all of it frozen for my kids too.
Do your
Because
kids,
they're,
yeah.
because they're not old enough yet, right? So.
No, that's an excellent point, and I think freezing it is now considered what should be the default.
Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's 10.6 actually.
Such a pain in the butt, though.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But-
Victoria, you want to take us into 10?
Oh yeah, I mean, we literally just talked about it. So placing a freeze on the credit report with all three right? Because they are separate and you have to do it separately for each one. If you have minor children or vulnerable adults in the care, place also a freeze on their credit reports. And I can say yes, after that wire transfer situation, found out my mom's stuff got compromised through the AT&T breach. So we both did it on our own, right? Got that all frozen. And then you get an alert if someone tries to hit your stuff. And then also I even went a step further with my property because I found out that someone can put liens and such and try to steal your property. And you won't be the wiser until it's too late. So we actually put alerts for even that, right? To see if anyone would try and do anything towards our homes that we purchased. So
No, that's a great point. And actually, if I just scroll back up to this one, where you were saying that, what do you have the alert set up for? Like a penny?
a penny, and that's the lowest I could go. I
Yeah.
wanted to say 0. But
Well, how could you go lower?
no, I know.
And accepted.
Well, like
much
you guys
more
said,
than-
pennies on pennies, right? Just like the movie.
yeah, rubles or
No, never
Yeah.
played Limbo with Victoria.
I can't go that low.
Just a note on if you do freeze your credit, there's going to be some information that they're going to send you that you absolutely have to have if you need to unfreeze it. And you need to make absolutely sure you have that information to unfreeze it. I know for mine, that's why I signed up for those account, like the credit bureau accounts, because I could easily unfreeze it from there. But that's information that you want to put in your password vault.
Hey, Coral, thanks for dropping in those the contact information.
Yeah, and I put
That's
NerdWallet in there
excellent.
too. It's actually got a good overview of exactly how to do that, what you're going to need, and what information you're going to need to freeze it and unfreeze it. So
No, that's fantastic. And Josh had, I think it was Josh, recommended or suggested checking out, yeah, Have I Been Pawned? And I dropped the link in there on that because that's an excellent advice. You can go there, type in your email address, and it'll pop up any known breaches that involve that email address, and it'll give you a good idea of what to go look at. I am going to, I think we're good on I think 10.6 has been a well-kicked horse.
yeah.
That's my perspective. Coral, you want to read 10.7? And
Yeah, absolutely. 10.7, I have a plan for what to do if I am the victim of cybercrime. It's a great question. I do, mostly because I have some of those preemptive strikes already in place, right? But I also, because my information's already been had a couple of times with a couple of people, I already am currently covered under monitoring. Yay me, yay for them, maybe not so much. But I have people that have been victims of fraud, and if they didn't have a plan, and it was a struggle, to say the least, for them to go ahead and rein in all the activity on all of their accounts because they didn't have that information available.
Do you have like a limit, at least in your head, might not be official, I think, of how many credit cards you allow yourself to have?
Yeah, I know exactly how many I have. Yeah.
I try and do everything on one, just easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here. Just the fewer, the easier. How about you, Brett? You running around with a bunch of credit cards?
I mean, I have more than one because I want my 5% at Amazon. I want my 6% at Amazon, whatever the max is at the different places.
And you have the alert set up on all of them?
Well, I have low maximums. So
I'll take that as a no.
No.
Whenever well assessment practice, whenever they say well, it's a negative.
Yeah.
False.
Yeah. Depends equals false.
Yep. Yeah. You see, I did it.
Fair enough.
Brian, what is your victim of cyber crime plan?
So this is a really good question because I'm thinking about it. I don't really have one. So area deficiency for me, but I know that there's a lot of resources out there. I just don't. And a little bit of time, and I see that there's some information in chat as well, which I'll probably FTC is fairly well known, but I don't know. It's something that I need to start looking at because it's not there for me.
Victoria?
I don't have like a plan, but just because of my training working at FRSecure, things like that, I kind of had a grip of like where to start and then had to do further research. So not really. Not a dedicated plan like I should.
Brett?
I don't have a plan. Depends what and where it happens, I suppose. If it happens on a Bank of America credit card, I suppose I would start with them and have them direct me. But if it's identity theft, that's obviously we're going to one of those links that were posted.
Here's where that inventory, right, is going to come in handy. You should have an inventory of the cards in your account, right? You should be monitoring them. If you're not doing that, you're just setting yourself up for failure, right? So know what you have so that you can protect what you have.
Yeah.
Ryan, do you have a plan?
Not a formal plan. In my head, I would know what to do depending on the scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I can't tell you I have a formal one. I'm just fortunate with what we know and what we do for a living.
I would add real quick too there. I try and limit my exposure to like the direct money. So I very seldom will use my debit card, and I will never put my PIN in like a grocery store or something when it says you want a credit or debit if I have to use it. If not, I will use a credit card or my single credit card for as many purchases as possible, then just go pay it off, because then the only exposure I really have is my credit card.
Right.
And they have protections already. So if I go dispute a charge, or even if something's breached, or they get that information, all they got is my credit card. They don't have my checking account. Whereas if you use your debit card or something, they get your checking account. They can drain your money. Yeah, you might get it back, but it's going to be days, weeks, months. If they breach my credit card, I'd just say, "Whoa, put a hold on it. I didn't make this purchase. You guys can figure it out. I'm done."
Right. Yeah, and you're not in a spot where I lost it and I'm trying to get it back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, we are kind of wrapping up not only this episode, but the whole series. And I just want to say sincerely thank you to each of you for being a part of this. This has been fantastic. I remember when it was just an idea, and look at where we're at now. So I just wanted to, so sincerely a warm thank you to everybody. And to everybody online as well. I just wanted to go around real quick if anybody has a closing thought. And if I go counterclockwise this time, I would start with Brian.
Well, first off, thanks for having me back. I appreciate it. And yeah, well, thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys putting up with my Agent of Chaosness. And thanks everybody for the chat. I appreciate it. And yeah, thank you. Have a good one, ladies and gents.
Yeah, and for everybody that doesn't know, Brian started with us and has come back, but it was because he was probably one of the biggest drivers behind the scenes in powering the FRSecure CISSP mentor program. And I know that had thousands of people attending. And so that's a justified absence in my book, mister. But we're glad to have you back. And lessons learned when we do these again, we'll schedule them not overlapping with that. Coral?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the time, and thanks for having the idea, Dave. That was a great idea. So I'm glad to be a part of it and glad to see your dream come to fruition. So
yeah, no, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Ryan?
Yeah, I would say thank you as well. Like it was fun. And if there's anything that can help spread awareness and help.
Hey, you
people
just
get a little-
said fun.
Oh!
That was the secret word of the day.
Oh, it's been so long. But anything that can help spread awareness, even if it's a little bit, is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Brett.
Yeah, I just had a blast doing it. It was a great time having the conversations with you guys, and thank you to all the participation from the participants. I thought everything went swimmingly.
Yeah. Victoria.
I mean, I think everyone said it for me. It was fun, but
Noise.
he's late on the bell. No, but honestly, I feel very grateful that I was included on this panel because it was a blast to talk security. And I know not a lot of people think that way, but I hope we get that across, that it can be fun. It's not dry and boring. You don't have to all of a sudden go blink in the face when it comes up at a topic. So yeah, it was really fun. Thank you.
Well said.
And Mr. Brown, you kind of flew in on the last episode. Not going to say uninvited, but we're certainly glad to have you. What are your thoughts as we wrap up this episode and these sessions?
I thought you guys did a really good job. I mean, I definitely appreciate you guys including me there. It was kind of unexpected, but I appreciated it. Thank you for the invite. You guys you're very knowledgeable. I mean, it's obvious, the way you guys participated through this, answered all the questions, and you did make it fun. So I'm not trying to steal somebody else's thunder, but anytime we introduce cybersecurity training, within our company, we try to give it relevance. And one of the things I definitely want to say, you folks really gave this relevance so that, once people can ingrain this into their lives and they realize the value behind it, they're going to come along for the ride. And I think, it was a very enjoyable ride.
Awesome. Wouldn't have been the same without you, man. So cool.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, no, absolutely and sincerely. So we will be doing more of these. We're not totally sure what the topics are yet, but I know that everybody here and powers above us that be at FRSecure really see the value in doing security as a life skill, webinars like this. And I know there will be more. We just don't know what they are yet. So keep in touch, and we look forward to seeing everybody soon. And again, thank you to everyone.
How about that survey, Dave?
What's that?
What about the survey that'll come out? Should we mention that?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Will everybody get an email? I don't know how it works.
Well, we're figuring it out in real time. So it may end up a little differently, but one of the sponsors is Security Studio, which is the company that hosts the platform that we had the opportunity to work through here. They're going to be sending out a survey to everybody that attended any of the episodes, just asking a handful of questions of what you thought, if you have any recommendations for us on how we could have done things better, ideas for other topics to speak on, and things along those lines. But we appreciate your feedback, your thoughts as we work to try and make these as good as possible for everyone. How was that?
Perfect.
It's pretty good for on the fly.
Thank you. It certainly was. Cool. All right, I'll let you all go. But thank you again for everyone.
Thanks, folks.
everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a great night.
Bye.
Yep. Right on. Bye-bye.